Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast series discussing the roles, opportunities, and value of engaging a part-time CFO within the SME community. In this very first episode of our series, we are going to explore the idea of what it means to actually engage with an interim or virtual CFO. Both David and I are seasoned CFO and have been supporting the SME ecosystem for quite some time. So to kickstart, David, what are your thoughts on the ideas of an interim or virtual CFO?
Okay, thank you, Linda. So when we talk about CFO, Chief Financial Officer, in other words, to me, it's about being the co-pilot of the CEO, director or owner of the business, being that right-hand person who can provide insight, support, and accurate data into the heart of the business for sound decision-making to drive growth. So I've grown up with the term interim, but I think I prefer virtual, as I believe that word is easily visualized and understood by most people. Certainly in Europe, for example, interim assignments have a whole industry dedicated to placements of these type. In the UAE, I understand that paying someone to do a definitive period of time or a project isn't necessarily a new concept, but certainly isn't as well developed as other parts of the world.
It is a concept that has certainly carried more weight over the recent years, I think, particularly now that we are seeing greater legislative compliances and being introduced. VAT, for example, has actually forced SME community to manage their finances more closely and adopt a system that monitor business entries and avoid penalties.
Yeah, and you're quite right. And it's compliance legislations that have increased year on year to a point where there isn't an SME or a business entrepreneur who remains untouched by its reach. ESR, economic substance regulations, FATCA, CRS, data protection, just to mention a few.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons a virtual CFO can really add significant value. Understanding the business in the context of the UAE compliance landscape, which in itself doesn't generate revenue, but certainly prevent profits from ebbing away, in fines and penalties.
You're quite right, and almost without exception, all SMEs at some stage will be looking for an exit, and real value can be added with a virtual CFO, demonstrating during the due diligence exercise, for example, that a company is fully compliant with the UAE laws and takes away much of the risk for the acquiring company. And we've seen many examples and instances where the due diligence process has unearthed significant compliance issues to a point where the acquiring company has walked away from the deal.
So compliance is clearly important, but the day-to-day operation can really benefit from the skills and years of experience of virtual CFOs, particularly if the company is growing rapidly or reach a stage where there is the need to have the level of expertise that isn't, currently present in the business.
Yeah, and I think that's a very valid point. And in essence is the definition of what a virtual CFO is. Furthermore, the advantage has to be the cost and the resulting benefit of employing a virtual CFO, which is significantly cheaper than employing a more junior accountant, for example, without that person doesn't necessarily have the skills or the experience that same CFO has.
You know what, I would actually go further and add that the relationship is likely to be more of a business partnering rather than an employee. The virtual CFO has the breadth of the business knowledge. That means they can change and affect quickly with the assurance of the outcome.
And yeah, it is that knowledge and years of experience that means there's a greater assurance of the desired outcome and the time within which a project can be completed. The virtual CFO can be switched on, switched off whenever the entrepreneur needs it.
So on that note, thanks very much, David. This is a perfect segue into our next episode where we'll be digging deeper into the value of outsourcing. I hope our listeners enjoyed this episode. So until next time, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much, Linda. Speak to you soon. Bye.